you telling us something about the village in Poland.
The village we came from is the name of Puhachi. The county or like municipality is Cieszanów.
And how big a place would this Puhachi be? About how many people?
Well, there probably was, I would say, about 250 residents.
Okay.
About 250.
And did they have a mayor and councillor, or was it a sort of a baron type guy that?
Yes, they had a mayor and councillor. Yes.
And
yes, they had.
What about? Were you really taxed hard there? Can you remember? Did your parents used to tell you much about that? Were they poor people, or did you have much? Or
they were very poor people.
Yeah.
Most of them had very little bit of land, and some of them were lucky if they had one cow and a few chickens, maybe a pig. Well, some of them had team of horses, and but land, an average, I'm quite sure. On our Canadian measure, about say 4 acres per family.
Okay. And how many people were at home at that time? Like, did your mother and any brothers and sisters of that? Or?
Well, at home we came from, it was my mother and grandmother, mother's mother, and me, my younger sister, and auntie, like mother's younger sister, and 2 uncles, one older and one younger.
And with your younger sister, is that Auntie Mary or?
No, her name was Anne. She was about, I would say, 16 years old at that time.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but she didn't come over to Canada with you?
She did not.
Oh, I see.
She did not. No.
Okay, yeah. Now, what happened to your father there?
My father left about 2 or 3 years after they got married. He left to work to Germany. He worked there for a while and then went to England from Germany, and he got a job on a freighter, on a ship. He was working for 13 months on the freighter. He was a fireman. And then he had a chance to get the passage, like to trade his job. He took a job on a passenger ship. It was going to New York. So he got to New York on that ship. When he got to New York, he left the ship. At that time in New York, it was Dad's brother and some other man from the same village. So he stayed there for a while and then came to Canada, to Cook's Creek, where Dad's sister and brother-in-law lived. That's where we came to.
Yeah, good. Is there anything in your childhood that you can remember that sort of stands out before you came to Canada? Is there something that...
Nothing very much in particular, Nothing very much in particular, but as I said, the people were very poor. The only landlords, they were owners of biggest parts of land and timber, the bush. The poor people had to work for them for next to nothing because they couldn't make enough for living at home.
Were these landlords very cruel, or were they pretty nice sort of people? Or
well, yes, naturally they were. Actually, the landlord himself wasn't that bad, but his foremen, they treated people pretty low.
Yeah. What about religion? Did religion tie the whole village together?
Yes, mostly.
So the parish priest had a lot of power, did he?
Yeah, he had power. The church owned lots of land too, and lots of timber. The church was a big establishment too.
Did you have a chance to go to school, or did you learn to read or write, or what? What happened?
Not very much. Not very much. I never had a chance to go to school at all. I was quite young. But the other people, when they send a kid to school, say for half a day or so, about once or twice a week, and they had to keep him back at home to help because they needed some extra help.
Who would run the school? Would this be run by the village, or would it be run by the church, or what?
No, I guess school was run by the government, like here in Canada. But just the same, they were supervised mostly by the landlords.
What would be some of your responsibilities as a child over there? Like what sort of chores did you have to do?
Oh, well, the children, they used to. There was a little bit kind of small community pasture. And a child, say about 5-6 years old, have to take that cow that they had to that pasture and look after it all day. Or some of them had a few geese. They took them like that too on the pasture and look after them.
And if the goose laid the egg at the pasture, you had to bring it back.
Yeah, so that's how it was.
What sort of things did the village used to do for entertainment? Did they entertain themselves with festivals or this kind of thing, or what?
Not very much. Not very much. It was run mostly. It was governed by the priest. The average man never had much right to say anything because priest was the boss. Whatever he said, go.
So, where did you get your musical background from? Did your father or your mother play a lot of music, or what?
Well, no, not neither one. No, none of them.
So that's just natural. You just picked it up.
Just a little bit.
What sort of instruments would those that played? What would they be?
Oh, well, they played the violin out there, and the little drums, round drums like the tom-toms the Indians have.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's about all they have.
And then, so you'd have, when the harvest was finished, you'd have dances and feasts and this kind of thing, would you?
Well, I think so, maybe once in a while. A little bit outside. They had no community hall or anything like that. They used to dance outside on the ground.
Yeah. Okay. What about the what sort of things would you get for Christmas? Can you remember anything that Santa? Did you have a Santa Claus there?
No, we didn't know nothing about Santa Claus. We had. They used to celebrate Saint Nicholas Day. They call it Saint Nicholas holiday. It falls on the 19th of December. So, from the old history, they observe that holiday, and well, Saint Nicholas is supposed to be a big helper to the poor people.
That's right.
So
but he didn't give you gifts or anything like that, or you didn't exchange gifts, or
no.
Nobody whittled out a little whistle for you or anything like that?
Well, only like a mother and elderlies, they give us maybe for kids, like a few candies or cookies or something.
All homemade, though. They were
all homemade.
Sure.
That's all.
And would you have a big Christmas feast or wine, local wine, or anything like this for Christmas to celebrate?
Yes.
So you kill one of those geese and.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty big sacrifice, though.
Oh yeah. Well, they like in Ukrainian tradition, they had 12 different dishes on Christmas Eve, big supper like, and then after supper they used to go to church. And on Christmas Day they go to church. Of course, the Ukrainian Christmas holidays consists of 3 days. 3 days holidays, like Christmas Day, and there's 2 more days after. Like.
So basically, most of the people were originally Ukrainians, eh?
Yes.
From that village in Poland.
Yeah, Greek Catholic religion.
Okay. Okay. Well. Okay.
I believe my father left home, as a lot of people did. They went to Germany to work, to make some money. My father left. He worked in Germany for a while, and then he went to England. He got a job on a ship, on a freighter. He was employed as a fireman. So he traveled for 13 months. And then, when he came back to England one time, he got the job on a passenger ship. So that passenger ship was going to New York. So he went to New York on that ship, and at the same time his brother, Dad's brother, my uncle, and some other men, they were in New York already. So Father left the ship and joined the men out there. So he stayed there for a while, and then came to Canada, to his sister's place and brother-in-law.
Where were they living there?
At Cook Street.
Cook Street in Manitoba, yeah. What year would that be?
Oh gosh, it must have been probably 1908. Must have been 1908, something like that. And then 1909, mother and myself and my younger sister, we came to Canada to join Dad. Dad at that time was working at the Tyndall Quarry. So late in the fall, Dad went to Granella, about 12 miles or so north of Granella, to old friends, and he took up a homestead. He took a homestead. So in the spring of next spring, like mother and myself came to join Dad. Dad built a little house during the winter, and that's where we settled for a few months. But in the spring of the year, Dad discovered that that homestead was absolutely useless. It was full of stones. Couldn't do nothing. So he canceled that homestead and applied for another one, about 2 miles northwest. So he was successful and got that other homestead. So before harvest, he moved a little house from the first homestead to the new one. And that's where we lived until 1944. Yeah.
Maybe talk about the sister getting killed first of all, at Cook Street.
Yeah. We came to Canada in 1909 in July, and about 3 weeks later, my younger sister was killed by a horse. Uncle was cutting hay, you hitch the horses, and the horses came to drink. Oh, they were kind of wild, running around and jumping, and the kid, my sister, got on the way and was hit with the horse, and yeah, she was unconscious overnight, the rest of that day, and overnight, and in the morning she died.
Sure. And she's buried now in Cook's Creek.
Yeah, she's buried at Cook's Creek. Yeah.
What was her name, Dad?
Anne.
Anne.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Right.
Yeah, she was about 2 years younger than me.
Were there any doctors or anything? Did anybody come?
Well, no, there was no doctors. The closest one was at Selkirk. So next morning, early in the morning, like at daybreak, Uncle went with the horses, took her and my mother to Selkirk to doctor. But the doctor couldn't do nothing. She died anyway.
Sure. Did a lot of the people at that time, did they used to go into Winnipeg for supplies and that, or?
Well, no, not a great deal. The people were kind of poor. They never had very much money. So they lived as cheap as possible.
Sure.
Those that were working out, they were working for small wages, and farmers, they were just the small farmers. I believe the biggest one at that time, maybe 80 acres. He was a farmer. Some of them had as low as 20 acres only.
What were the names of the relatives that were living in Cook's Creek at that time?
My uncle name was Joe Moteco. Yeah, he came to Canada in 1901. Yeah, he came to Canada in 1901.
What made you decide, or your dad decide, to come out to Glenella? Did he know somebody out there, or did he?
Yeah, there was a lot of people from our old village and the old country, and some relatives. So they kind of went together. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Did you go by train out there then, or how did you get?
Well, from Winnipeg we went by train to Glenella, yeah.
To Glenella, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd have to go to Dauphin to the land office there to get the.
Oh yeah,
get the claims and the settlement there. How much was a piece of land? How much did you have to pay at that time for a homestead?
$10. $10. 160 acres.
160.
Yeah. But in our times, the most of the homesteads were picked already. There was very few left. So those that came late, they had to take what left.
Sure. Did you have a time limit on your homestead, that you had to do something, improve it?
Yes, up to three years. Well, you had to live on it, and in 3 years you had to break so many acres of that land to have it under cultivation, and then you apply for a patent.
Yeah.
If it's approved, you got your patent and it was yours.
So they had a sort of like an inspector that had come around to check on to see.
Oh yeah.
And what was the first crop that your dad put in? What would?
Oh, a little bit of wheat. Yeah. Yeah.
What about? Did he stay on the farm all the time, or did he go off and take other jobs?
Oh no, Dad worked a little bit in the spring, cut some scrub, and then he went out to work for the other farmers around Loomis, Gladstone, Ogilvy, out that way, to cut scrub to make some money.
Sure.
And I came home and broke a little bit the land and got some hay and went for harvest, stoking and thrashing. After thrashing, came home. We do a little bit work at home.
Sure. Would he mainly go by horse, or would he walk?
Walk.
Walk. You wouldn't ride a horse?
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, that'd be long.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty fit in those days.
Well, 14 miles.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. What sort of chores did you have to do as a young boy?
Well, I look after the little bit of cattle that we had, and when I was a little bit bigger, I had to plow the land in the fall with the walking plow, with the team of horses.
How old would you be then, about?
Oh, I was about 12, 13. Yeah.
And how many would be in the team of horses?
Oh, just two.
Two of them.
Two of them, yeah. Team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, what about school? Did they have a school out at Glenella there?
Well, there was school at Glenella, but Glenella was about 14 miles away. So The kids had no chance to go to school because there was none between our place and Glenalla. First school was built 6 miles north of Glenalla. I was about 15 or 16 years old. I went to that school for 2 months. And then that was near spring, and then I had to stay home.
Did you go every day, or did you stay with some relatives? Or?
I stayed with one old couple. Yeah, stayed with one old couple.
Did you have a good teacher there, or?
Yeah, they had a good teacher.
Was it a woman or a man?
Man.
Man. He taught you how to read and write, and then you.
Well, no, I knew quite a bit from home. My mother, she could read and write, so Dad. So I learned quite a bit at home.
Did she teach you English or Ukrainian?
No, just Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And Polish, like.
Yeah.
But I had quite easy in that school. Within 2 months, teacher put me into grade 4.
Yeah, fast learner. Yeah, that's right.
Because I knew the alphabet, I could read and write, so it wasn't hard for me.
Were the lessons mainly in Ukrainian, or were they English?
No, English.
English. Did
yeah.
you have a difficulty with that?
No, not at all.
You could
I
catch
could
on?
speak English not too bad at
Yeah.
that time.
Sure. What was the first sister born over in Canada here? Or was that Auntie Annie, wasn't it?
Well, first one was born as my brother, Steve.
Steve, right.
He was born in 1910 in the first homestead.
Can you remember much about that?
I do certainly, month, yes, yeah. And first sister was born, 1914, I guess, 13.
Would they just have a midwife? Would she come in and
Yes,
help?
yes. Midwife, she was just like a doctor going around in the district. She delivered in that district about 90 children or so. Yeah, she was a good baby.
Busy gal. Must have had some good winters then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, it was my wife's mother. Yeah, she did all that.
Now, if there were any complications or anybody really got sick, would they have to come in here to McCreary, or where would they go?
Well, a couple of times they had to call the doctor. And sometimes the doctor made a mistake too. The one young woman, she was sent to hospital too late. She passed away after the child was born. The complications sat inside, and
Sure.
then.
Would the nearest hospital be McCreary then, or where?
Oh, no. Nearest hospital was it was Napoleon, and there was one at Dauphin, but people mostly went to Portage Hospital.
Gee, that's a long way, huh?
Long
Yeah.
ways by train, like,
Sure.
well, in summertime it wasn't too bad, but in winter it was more difficult.
What about mail services? Did you have somebody delivering mail every now and again, or did you just?
There was a small post office north of Glenalla by the name of Sunville. So once a week, that Sunville post office was getting mail, and we came from the north,
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't too bad. We didn't get very much mail at that time, newspaper and odd letter from relatives in the old country, that's about all. In the fall, tax notice.
Sure. When did you build the first church down at Glenella?
That was north of Glenella. Well, there was one 6 miles south. They call it the Greek Orthodox Church is still existing. It's about 75 years old now. About 1904, it was built by the early settlers, and the church near our place, first one, small church, was built in, let's see now, about 1914. And then we built a bigger church, the present church now, in 1918.
Did everybody just sort of pitch in and they had work bees or what?
Yeah,
Sure.
we were work free. Everybody worked free, except we had a main carpenter hired for wages.
Sure. Okay. And the priest lived in that area too, did
No, I used to come from all different places. Sometimes priest came from Winnipeg, sometimes from Dauphin, sometimes from Portage, depends where he was available. Oh, about once a month, sometimes once every 2 months, the church service was.
And you just had a bush telegraph there to tell when he was coming then?
Well, he announced like ahead of time when he'll be again.
Sure. What about when the First World War came? Did many of the guys leave from Glenella there?
There's some, but mostly there wasn't any boys in military age at that time. Mostly young middle-aged married men, family men. So they weren't called to war, and they didn't volunteer. But quite a few around in the district volunteered and went to war.
Sure.
Yeah.
When did you start going and doing odd jobs around the area?
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh, when I was 15 years old. Occasionally I went to work for my uncle. He had a steam thrashing outfit, and I was firing steamer.
Firing steamer?
Yeah, it was kind of a hard job for a young kid to get up in the morning about 4:15 or 4:30 till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
And for $1 a day, it wasn't much of a wages, but I did it.
How many would be on a threshing gang? How many guys?
Well, it depends on the big outfit. There was about 18 or 20 men. There was a steam engineer, a fireman, a tankman, man that hauls water, and then a separator man, and I'd say six stoop teams, 4 field pitchers, and about half a dozen grain men that haul the grain away.
So your job was basically just putting the wood into the...
That's
the
all.
bar.
And later on I was helping Uncle on the outfit. I greased the machine, put the belts on in the morning, and check everything like on the machine, whether everything is running properly. So I had an easy job later.
How about how many farms would you do?
Well, at that time the fields weren't very big. The biggest field was maybe 60 or 80 acres. Or we do 80 acres in a day. Yeah.
So, but how many would you do in a so-called season? How many farms would you take the apparatus to?
Well, depends on the season. If it was good dry season, good going, we would make bigger rounds. But most of the time, between the dry spells and rains, it was just a waste of time. Oh, we probably did about 10, 15, or maybe 20 farmers.
What, whereabouts would you live when you were on the threshing gang?
Well, we had a caboose. The threshing gang lived in a caboose. The teamsters and the man that belongs to the machine, except the grain man. Mm-hmm. So that's where we lived.
And you'd have to cook your own meals, or
no,
the farmer did this?
No, the farmer supplied the meal.
I see.
Yeah.
Good. So that'd be a big thing for a farmer too.
It was.
Feed 18 guys who are really hungry, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite something.
If it was dry, it was fine. It didn't take long. But if it happens to be rain in between, it took about a week sometimes to do one farmer.
And that was the cost of the farmer, was it? Basically, feeding him, then did he have to give so much grain to the threshing gang, or
no?
There was no pay at all.
Well, the farmer paid so much a bushel.
I see.
For each kind of grain. Say wheat was maybe he paid for wheat, say 8 cents a bushel to get threshed, and barley 6 cents, oats 4 cents a bushel for pay for thrashing, and board the man, and supply the wood for a steamer.
Gee, that'd be a big job too.
Yeah.
Shoot. How many cords of wood would a steamer go through a day?
Oh, not very many. Yeah, about a cord of wood. That's all.
Yeah, about a cord of wood.
Yeah, about 3-4 tanks of water. About each tank held about 12 45-gallon barrels. That was. But the steam power was very good power.
Sure.
Very dependable.
Right. What about when the Depression came? Did this really affect you?
Yes, it did. It did. I had, during Depression, I had my own little thrashing outfit. And separator and a gas tractor. But to run the gas tractor, you have to have cash to buy gasoline, which I never had. So I had the chance to buy an old steamer that was owned by a mortgage company. I bought that old steamer and rebuild it, fix it up. So I used that old steamer for power and put the gas tractor away. We didn't use it. Sure. Because I didn't need very much cash to run it. Just a little bit grease and oil, that's it. And the rest was cheap.
How many, did you have to employ anybody to help you, or could you do
Oh yeah, I had a couple of men.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there was always plenty of work to do with the steam?
Well, usually we worked together. The farmers that had threshing to do, they helped me, and I did the threshing for them. No cash was involved at all.
Sure. How long would you be away from home at that time?
Well, we worked just around home.
Yeah. Right.
I was pretty well home every day,
Sure.
every night. Like, no, it didn't take long.
Do any sort of incidents stand out that you can remember of those sort of times, or?
Well, no, not very bad, not very much. But I know one thing, it was a very hard time to go to the bank and borrow $10.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tight, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Tight all around.
Yeah.
Did many of the farmers in the district lose their farms?
Quite a bit, most of that. But it was chiefly farmers' own fault. Because during First World War, the grain price was good and high, and there was a foxy mortgage agent in Glenalla. He encouraged a lot of farmers to take a mortgage, break more land, you get richer. But shortly after the war, things went down, and the farmers couldn't make the payments, and the land was mortgaged. And pretty soon the mortgage company foreclosed and took the farm away. So that's how the farmers lost the farms, through their own fault. They shouldn't mortgage their own farms when they had it clear. Do the best as you go, instead of try and do it on somebody else's money, which you didn't need to.
Right. Did you have many hardships when you first started off? Like when your dad was putting in his first crop, did he lose it to frost or rust or whatever?
Well, yeah, some. Most of the time, well, we had a frost, yeah, pretty near every year. Every year we had frost. But a little later, grain was hurt pretty bad most of the time. But you try and sow good and early to beat the frost. It wasn't too bad.
What sort of things did you used to do for entertainment and this kind of thing, like on a, say, Saturday night or something like that?
Oh, no, we didn't do anything. Hardly anything. Oh, Saturday night was just a night like any other night. We lived so far from town. There was no roads and no cars, and especially in winter, we were snowed in, just a sleigh road for the team. So the neighbors, 2 or 3 neighbors get together in the evening, play cards, and just things like that, trying to make our own fun.
Sure. Did many guys make their own home brew, or did they?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, they did.
What about things like weddings and that? Were those big occasions for the whole district, or what?
Oh yeah, as a rule, The person that was making wedding, he had white the neighbors around and the family. Most of the time, occasion lasted 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Oh, had lots of fun.
Yeah, lots of fun there, right?
Yeah. Cheap food and cheap drinks. It didn't cost very much because people had no money.
Sure.
They could spend much.
When did you first get your car? What?
I bought my old car, 1918 Model T, in 1926. 1926.
How much did it cost you then?
$125.
I didn't.
But it was old car. So it was very good running water.
Were the roads very good then, or were they?
No roads. There was no roads. No roads except the Indian trails, as our settlers used, mostly Indian trails for roads. Road allowances hardly any. Well, in 20s already, road allowances were caught already, and some ditches were made, some grades were made, but they were rough, awfully rough. Oh, it was rough traveling.
How far would you probably go?
Oh, as far as town, that's about all.
To McCreary here?
Yeah, McCreary and along, that's
Sure.
about all.
Sure. Were farmers at that time, around about 1926, were they hauling their grain to central places, or?
No, they hauled mostly, well, somehow to Glenella, and there was elevator at Glencairn, just 9 miles from our place. We hauled grain there, and some that lived closer to McCreary, they hauled to McCreary.
Sure. How many, from a good season, if you had a pretty good season, how many bushels would you be hauling roughly?
Well, at that time, land was new. The crop, the grain was pretty good. Around 25, 30 bushels to the acre.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you'd have, how much of your 160 acres would you have in the grain?
Oh, well, hardly anybody had 160 acres field at that time, no.
So you may only have, what, 20, 30 acres?
20, 30, 40 acres, that's about all.
Sure. Did you run cattle on the other acreage, or what?
No, the cattle, we usually small field. If it was a small field, we had it fenced so the cattle wouldn't get in. A little later, we fenced the whole quarter section. But there was lots of vacant land, government land, like the school section and the Hudson Bay section. So cattle was running free, running around free anywhere they want to go. Yeah, we bought the old tractor, Waterloo Boy. It was used, old one. All we used it for breaking a little bit land, and then we bought the separator, was thrashing with it for a couple of falls. And then we got a different kind. So,
what was this year? About what, 1926 or what?
No, about 1920, 21.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you get hired out a lot then to take your tractor around to do work for other farmers?
Oh, well, no, not exactly breaking, but thrashing.
Thrashing,
I used to go around thrash for neighbors
Sure.
quite a bit.
Sure. So what? It was around about 1926. You got the urge to go down to the States, eh?
Yeah, yeah, well, I finished the work at home, finished thrashing. Some of my friends went out there before. They encouraged me to come out to get a job and make some money. Of course, in Canada it was kind of hard time. It was hard to make $1 anywhere. So I went out there. I was fortunate enough. I got the job at Ford's right away. I worked till, I probably worked about 6 months during winter. In the spring I came back home. I made $200-300.
What sort of job were you doing down at Ford's place?
I was hired as a punch press, they call it. But I wasn't very long on it. The foreman took me to some other jobs. There was too many men on one job. He took some on the other, to the other departments. Foreman was a very good man to me. He gave me a chance, all right. But if I would have stayed, he was kind of sore that I quit. He said, I thought you were going to stay with me. I'll give you a chance. So he gave me a chance for a little better job all the time. It was a big Swede foreman. But I decided to go home, so I went home.
Right. When did you meet Mum?
Well, shucks, Mom was born there.
So you grew up with her, right?
Yeah. Well, her dad's first homestead was just half a mile away from where we lived.
Oh.
Yeah, but they were one of the first settlers in there. Oh, that's a long time ago.
So you sort of just had your eye on her for quite a while.
Well, she's much younger than I was. I was kind of grown up when she was a small kid. But finally we got together.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got married in 1930, and the farm, my dad's homestead. My dad, he mortgaged the homestead, that farm, and the mortgage company took the farm. They want to sell it for $1,000. And $1,000 was big money at that time. So I was really renting the farm for a while. And then at last Dad said, if you want to take over, you take over. I can't handle that. So Dad bought himself a cheap municipal farm 2 miles away. So I was left on that farm. About a year and a half later, or 2 years, the mortgage company, they dropped that ownership. Municipality got the titles for it. They got it for taxes. So one time I was in the municipal office, municipal clerk told me, if you bring me $100, I'll give you title for your farm. So I went home. I had a bunch of pigs. I had about, I don't know, about 25, 30 pigs, but they weren't ready to sell yet. So the next morning, early in the morning, I went to Glenelg. Maybe I can borrow somewhere $100, mortgage those pigs or something. So finally, I got the $100 from a storekeeper. He was also cattle and pig buyer, so he advanced me $100. So the next day I went to municipality and I got the farm for $100.
And this was in McCreary then?
McCreary.
Yeah, McCreary Municipality.
Yeah.
Ah, that's good. Right.
Yeah.
And when did you sell that farm?
I sold it in 1944. Yeah, I had another quarter section half a mile south too. I sold the whole works pretty darn cheap. I sold it for $850, the whole works, the whole half section. But while we had quite a few misfortunes with sicknesses and this and that, different times in winter, we had to rush to a doctor or a hospital, and the roads were snowed in. We were snowed in, and in the spring, mud holes, couldn't get across. So I thought to myself, regardless of what I get, they're going to get rid of it, go get closer to town.
Yeah. Right.
So I did it.
Sure. Would you say that the mortgage companies helped farmers, or do you think they were cagey and trying to for their own interest more than anything?
Well, they didn't gain anything. They lost money.
Is that right?
Sure. After they repossessed the farms for 2 or 3 years stay idle, started to grow wild. The company's inspector even hired me and other guys to go and plow a few acres here on this farm, on the other farm, to make a summer plow, make it look alive. Maybe somebody will come and buy it. So that's how it happened. But finally, they left the whole thing. They lost big money.
So those all reverted to the municipalities then, eh? Most of those properties when they're...
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Sure.
Yeah.